Our top stories tonight. The IEC is in the process of announcing the final election results with coalitions on the cards in 3 key metros. The ANC says negative perceptions of President Jacob Zuma have had no impact on its performance in KwaZulu-Natal. This is eNews Direct Weekend Edition. Good evening, I'm Amy McIver.
And I'm Ronald Masinda. Good evening. You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNews Direct.
Or you can check our content on our website, enca.com/direct. The IEC's official announcement of 2016 municipal elections is underway in Pretoria. However, the results do not include Johannesburg as the counting process is still ongoing. Currently, the numbers show the ANC leading the DA by about 4 percentage points. But the ruling party has already lost its grip on the 2 other key metros of Nelson Mandela Bay and Tshwane. No single party has secured an outright majority though, so it's time to talk coalitions. The ANC and the DA say they're both talking to potential coalition partners, but won't give more details.
The horse trading has officially begun. And while coalition governments aren't entirely virgin territory in South African politics, they're completely foreign in the big metros of Nelson Mandela Bay, Tshwane and Johannesburg. The ANC in Gauteng, which finds itself on the cusp of being out of power, has confirmed it's in talks to form coalition governments in Tshwane and Johannesburg, saying everything is on the table.
At the right time, we will indicate who we are talking to, but we can confirm that we are into negotiations as we speak.
The DA says it started talks with other parties, but coy about how it would form governments with parties that don't share its ideologies or policies. It was, however, clear about one thing: it won't be talking to the ANC.
I'd rather talk about, do we agree to advance the lives of the people of South Africa? And then put out a program of action that will achieve that. If we can't agree on that program of action, I've already said it up front, we will not go into that coalition.
The most obvious kingmaker is the EFF, especially in Tshwane and Johannesburg, where it polled over 10%. It claims no party has approached it yet.
We will not do anything that will not improve the lives of black people in South Africa. We will not get involved in anything that does not affirm the things that we've been raising throughout the local government elections campaign.
Analysts argue that even if the difficult terrain of coalition talks is navigated, tough times lie ahead.
People must simply brace themselves for some serious turbulence in at least the first year of the new coalition rulers in cities such as Tshwane or even Johannesburg, if it is led by the coalition of the DA plus another party. For example, a coalition between the DA and the EFF, to be motivated by that desire to get rid of the Jacob Zuma-led ANC. So to that extent, it's not ideologically driven, it's not principally driven.
Those in the know also argue that forming a coalition government is one thing, but making it stick is another. Nicholas Bauer, Johannesburg.
Well, the DA hasn't wasted time in claiming the win in Tshwane, even though it hasn't secured an outright majority. We took to the streets of Tshwane to get the views of some residents.
Yesterday that here in Tshwane will be the biggest party above any other party. It, to me, is exciting.
Declaring victory in the nation's capital after a bruising battle for power. But Tshwane residents remain divided over the impending wave of change.
And I would be so happy if one of the black-led and dominated political parties would win in Tshwane. So unfortunately, they say the DA is taking over. Yeah, so I'm really so disappointed because I'm feeling like the apartheid regime is taking over again.
I think DA has some kind of order that we need as human beings, and I think they will put order into our lives.
I just hope that everything that they promise they can give, I guess. False promises will be quite a disappointment.
Well, the only change that might affect us is Pretoria going back to the old days, which is apartheid. That's our only fear. We just hope it doesn't get to that. At least let DA bring change, but not take us back to apartheid.
I'm also excited about the coalitions and the coaching. I think we can look forward to strategic coalitions, which will also have a fantastic effect on our democracy.
Despite the fears, uncertainty and excitement, some residents are hopeful the Metro's new leadership will effect positive changes.
There will be good administration in the municipal offices, in all different offices. Maybe we'll find things will be different, more especially in our hospitals, in our clinics. So I want to see those kind of changes.
I believe they're going to start cleaning the city because it could use a bit of cleaning.
We will have at least service delivery to all the communities.
I hope more jobs could be secured for so many people who are unemployed.
Without an outright majority, however, the DA still has to cobble together a coalition government with other parties. It's only then that residents of this metro will truly know what lies ahead. Leranzo Temba, Pretoria.
The ANC insists negative perceptions of President Jacob Zuma by some have had no impact on its performance in KwaZulu-Natal. It has retained and gained many wards and municipalities, but its support in the province has increased by just 1% since the 2011 elections, and its popularity in eThekwini has slipped.
Once opposition to the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC has enjoyed steady growth in the province. This time around, though, the increase in support at the polls has been negligible. In eThekwini, it lost 5%, down to 56%. But the party believes it's still stronger than ever.
In eThekwini, we came to the elections on the 3rd, when we were summing up the last council. We had 73 wards. Today in eThekwini, we've got 76 wards. Do you call that a decline?
But one analyst says the party is in denial.
The argument that the ANC in KZN is making about eThekwini is that from 73 wards, they've now won 76 wards. But that was 73 wards out of 103 wards. This time around, it's 76 wards out of 110 wards.
The ANC concedes it needs some self-assessment after the polls. But it says speculation that President Jacob Zuma has hurt the party is unfounded.
When President Mbeki was leading, we were increasing. Under President Zuma, we are still increasing the support of the ANC.
Meanwhile, the DA and the IFP have both increased their support in the province. Desantathia, Durban.
In other news, black university students attained the most science-related PhDs last year. The Department of Science and Technology wants to increase that trend. It has launched the National Science Week to encourage school pupils to pursue a career in the sciences.
Making science and maths cool and accessible for youngsters, and encouraging them to pursue the subjects beyond school.
If you stick in science as well as in mathematics, you actually will do very well. And these are not absolutely impossible subjects for you to succeed in. And when you do succeed, you become one of those persons that changes the world.
The department also launched its Next Generation 100 program, which aims to develop, support and fund scientific projects and help make them commercially viable.
We're really, I suppose, trying to excite the mind to say you have the intellect, you've got the creative ability. Please help us to help you develop it so that you become the problem solver.
A parallel program, Future 500, will select a few young scientists and innovators to go to Silicon Valley in the US for further training. The launch has also shown the practical side of science with exhibits such as the hydrogen energy maker.
When you want to generate electricity in your home, what you will have to do is switch on a tap, fill a cylinder, press a button, remove the hydrogen, filter it through a platinum mesh and get electricity out the other end. Can you imagine that? I mean, that just bypasses every other hugely complex and expensive system we've ever had.
Similar events will be held at universities and science centres across the country in the coming week. Keladi Situsa, Cape Town.
Well, to news from around the world now, at least 13 people have been killed and 6 injured in a fire during a birthday party at a bar in the French city of Rouen. It's believed the blaze started when a cake with candles was dropped and set padding alight. Hundreds of protesters have clashed with police in the capital of Ethiopia. Campaigners are calling for ongoing nationwide protests against what they say is the unfair distribution of wealth in the country. And attackers in military uniforms have shot dead over a dozen people and wounded many more at a busy market in northeast India. Authorities are blaming the attack on a separatist group. Well, for these stories and more, go to enca.com/direct or follow us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct. Well, after the break, a look at the lighter side of the serious business of the elections. Well, elections may be serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't have a laugh. Let's take a look at some of the hashtags and memes that had us in stitches.
After months of campaigning and finally getting the chance to vote, South Africans have decided it's time to have some fun. Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal has been a hot topic. It's the hometown of President Jacob Zuma. But it was the opposition IFP that came out on top.
We've got election fatigue. Just as a country, I think it's kind of gotten to the point where we've stood in queues, we've got the mark, the badge of honor to say we voted. From a social media perspective, people are just wanting to now just release. So from a meme perspective, it's the way we laugh at ourselves.
If DA wins became a popular hashtag, shortly after results showed the party gaining ground in the highly contested metros, Tshwane, Johannesburg and Nelson Mandela Bay.
I think it's going to be the hashtag of the year in South Africa, honestly. And it was literally one of those hashtags that were just clever, they were smart, but some of the things that were coming out was, all to do with Afrikaans and how it's going to go back to being a very Afrikaans country, a nationalist party.
It did not stop there. President Jacob Zuma once famously said that the ANC would rule until Jesus Christ returns. Many responded to that after the party lost Nelson Mandela Bay to the DA. Former COSATU General Secretary Zwelithini Vavi posted, "Jesus was seen walking in the streets of Nelson Mandela Bay Metro last night. He is back." Another tweeted, "Who is picking up Jesus from the airport?" Lindwe Sitole, Johannesburg.
And on that light note, Louis has your detailed weather forecast.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Centre. A quick look at the satellite imagery, and we see it was clear over South Africa, and after a cold morning it warmed up very quickly for most of the interior, but along the south coast there was some cloud cover in the area that kept things cooler across that region. Temperatures remained below 20 degrees from the peninsula all the way through to Port Elizabeth. A look at Sunday's conditions, and it's going to be a warm day in KwaZulu-Natal, especially for the northern interior. Vryheid and Ulundi both get to a high of 27, and into the Eastern Cape we'll see partly cloudy skies. There is going to be a possibility for rainfall later on in the day, extending all across the southern parts, perhaps even reaching East London during the course of the evening. For the Western Cape, there'll be similar conditions, a likelihood for rain all across the southern areas, including around the peninsula in the afternoon. Some of that rainfall might even cross over into some parts of the Karoo, including Oudtshoorn, by early evening. In the Northern Cape, it'll be a cold morning, especially cold for the high ground, but as you head northwards in the afternoon, temperatures are going to rise into the mid to upper 20s. A lovely day lies ahead for the Free State. It's going to be a warm day across the province, 23 degrees as a maximum for Bloemfontein as well as Welkom. And in the northwest, it's going to be a very warm afternoon. Freiburg gets to a maximum of 28 after a cold morning, close to 0 degrees. Very warm weather for Lephalale and the Lowveld of Limpopo. Sunshine warms things up in the province. Polokwane will be mildest, 5 and 24 your temperatures. And in Mpumalanga, it's going to be a very warm day in the Lowveld. Not quite as hot over the high-lying areas of the province, but it's going to be pleasant enough all across the province. And finally, into Gauteng, another lovely day expected for your areas with temperatures climbing into the mid-20s for the afternoon. Let's look further ahead to the start of the work week, and we're expecting it to be even warmer in Gauteng. Pretoria gets to 26. Light morning showers possible all across the east coast of the country. And dry weather has been forecast for Tuesday, when things will be cooler up in the northern parts, but a warming trend is expected towards the south. That's all from the Weather Centre. Goodbye for now.
Well, finishing now with the latest from the elections. The official announcement of the 2016 municipal results has concluded, but there's been drama as young women at the Pretoria venue held a silent protest against President Zuma. One of their posters read, "Remember Kwezi," the name given to the woman who accused President Jacob Zuma of raping her. Well, that is a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Up next on ETV is 3 Ninjas.
To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or chat to us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct.
Till tomorrow night, take care and good night.